All right, so last time we were together, we created a graduated value scale of 6 different boxes, 1-inch squares, from our darkest to our lightest. The lightest should be, you know, a little bit brighter than or a little bit darker than a white. We're not leaving it white, but barely. And it should be relatively smooth and even shading. I recommended going the same direction with your pencil, you know, moving up and down or side to side, small marks, and keeping your pencil sharp and kind of at an angle. Using a mechanical pencil is, I find, much more difficult for blending, although if you feel like you've got it with the mechanical pencil, certainly try. I'm also a lefty, so something that happens is I get a lot of smudging on the paper or on my hand. So one quick tip is to get a piece of, you know, scrap paper, and so if this is a scrap piece of paper, and put it on my hand on top of that as I work so that I don't smudge. I don't know if you righties have as much of a problem with that, but us lefties, it's an issue. All right, so I can either, now I'm doing my graduated scale, and the goal of that is to have a nice even blend. Again, it's 6 inches long by 1 inch tall. And you can either go, again, you know, feel like horizontal, vertical. I think I'm going to start vertical. And I'm just going to make this really nice and dark. I just sharpened my pencil. I can tell that it's given me a nice dark because of that. It's crisp. You might need to move your pencil in different ways. So here I have to move it kind of horizontally to fill in these spaces. But I'm making small marks. I'm working with intention. I'm being slow and patient as I work. You want to have a nice flat surface to work on too. I got a million papers here and I can definitely, too much stuff that I'm working on. Okay, there we go. You might want to have the value scale out that I shared with you so you can kind of look at it as you go. So as you can see, the dark goes about 1/3 of the way. You got a medium tone about 1/3 of the way, and then a very light tone. And within that dark tone, there's variation too. Yours doesn't have to look exact, but the aim is to kind of get it similar. I'm working kind of quickly here because obviously I want you to have time to work. You can be working along with me if you want to. Try to keep in the lines, but again, this is a practice, so we're not looking for, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. As I move further to the right, I am lightening my pencil pressure just ever so slightly. And the key is I want it to be a nice smooth transition so that the viewer cannot see where it changes from super dark to medium dark. And that's why I'm trying to keep the same direction with my pencil, and I'm making those small circular marks to really try to blend. And I'm avoiding the use of my finger or any paper to blend it because I really want you to master how to do this with a pencil, which has a very different look. Using a tissue or your finger to blend can often lead to it looking smudgy. Though it does have some applications, but not for today's exercise. So as you can see, I'm starting to lighten up. So again, as I go through this exercise, if you want to be pulling your stuff out and getting going too. You may need to go back and smooth out areas if you're like, oh, and you notice you go back, oh, that area is looking a little liney. We shouldn't see a lot of lines. It should be a nice, smooth application of your pencil. And again, this is best achieved through moving slowly, small circular marks, using your pencil on its side. Don't try to rush this. It's almost like a meditation. You're slowing yourself down. You're forcing yourself to really kind of focus on what your hand and your pencil's doing. Not that, oh, I'm trying to get this done. Got to get this thing shaded. No, no, no. So something as seemingly as simple as this can feel difficult. We're not used to having to apply our pencil in different ways, right? Especially when we're drawing, we have one way of doing things usually. So I'm going to keep working on this. I'm not going to keep showing it on the video because it might take too long and I need to talk with you guys still about your drawings. As you get lighter, you might find that this becomes more difficult, right? How do you keep it looking even and smooth? And that's where you might have to use your eraser to kind of, if it gets too dark, keep that pencil sharp so that that angle is going to work out nicely for you. So I got a little dark there. I might have to come back in with an eraser and kind of like lightly erase that. So the goal is not that you get to white, but that you get to a very, very light gray, kind of like you got to at the end of your value scale up top. So kind of look at that as a helpful indicator. All right, so once I'm not going to finish this right now, but you can imagine where it's going. Once you have finished this, the next step is to create two different values. One going from the outside in, so going from dark to light, and then one is going to be going from side to side. So I don't think we're going to try the inside out one today. And you can do this by creating two small 1-inch squares on your paper. You also could take a small cup and trace it if you wanted to do this in a circle. And so to start this, you're going to do the same thing that you did with the gradated value scale. You're going to do kind of a mini version of it. So I'm going from dark to light in my tiny square. So you could go anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inch in the size of this square. You know, the bigger you go, the longer it's going to take you. All right, and then my second square or circle, doesn't really matter, I want you to practice going from dark to light all the way around. So I think the best way to do this is to first kind of like add a thick layer of dark around the piece. I actually think this is easier to do when you're working in a circle because it's a little bit more organic of a shape. And then I'm going to kind of fade it out. So I'm going to move from side to side and kind of fade the dark to light. So the result should be a dark edge and a light interior. You should not see a big heavy outline around it. It should feel nicely blended. So I'm kind of following the direction of the shape. I am kind of working in an almost circular motion. Okay. To me, it feels like it got a little bit dark in the middle. So I erased it a little bit, and then I'm going to go back and kind of blend a little bit over that. All right, so the end result should be a dark to light. So this is the outside in. And this is one side. Make sure your value scales that you complete up here too, that you put your name on them so I can verify that it is your work. You know, a signature underneath each is fine, and you can photograph them either as two exercises and on one page, or if you'd like to photograph them individually, that's fine. And same thing for these down here. These do not have to be included on the same page. You could, you know, photograph them on a separate page. You're going to be submitting these to a different assignment, and I'm just putting my name on those too. Okay.